Hi, everyone. My name is Ronald Denisio, and I am the 7th grade Social Studies Virtual Content Specialist. In this video, I will talk about important considerations when launching a unit and how to implement synchronous and asynchronous strategies while launching the unit. For the purpose of this video, I will refer to the first lesson of Unit 3, launching the unit, but you can apply these strategies when launching any unit in person or virtually. Engaging students with the content to be studied is important. Making the content relevant to their personal lives or making a connection to how the learning can be used in a real-world setting is one way to get students hooked. Another effective hook is making students see the content as interesting and unusual by having them view the content from a different perspective. Launching the unit for your students involves engaging them in mental stretching activities and providing a hook for the content to be learned. Students are more interested and pay more attention to activities that are introduced in a way that engages them emotionally, intellectually, and socially. Launching a unit effectively can excite the students, giving them the motivational energy to want to make the best use of their learning time. Activities that get students to think divergently are important. Presenting far-out theories, paradoxes, and incongruities to stimulate wonder and inquiry are extremely effective. If you want to read more about launching Unit 3, make sure to check out page 56 of the 7th grade Passport to Social Studies curriculum guide. The lesson objective for the Unit 3 launch is to investigate the themes that will be explored during the unit. The introduction to model asks students to look at the image on the next slide and write down 5 things you notice about the piece of art, and then answer the questions. Some of the synchronous strategies for the introduction and model lessons that I have found helpful, not just for this particular lesson, but for many of the lessons in the Passport to Social Studies curriculum, are having students flood the chat. For example, I might ask students to type their responses into the chat box, but hold off on pressing enter until the timer is off. I'll then set the timer for 1 to 2 minutes, and then count down 3, 2, 1, and then have students press enter at the same time. If I'm concerned about students holding their responses, I can temporarily close the public chat while they think. So a strategy like flood the chat might be useful for this particular part where we're asking students to write down 5 things that they notice about this piece of art. Another strategy that I've tried recently is trying to simulate a turn and talk like I would in the classroom by having students meet in breakout rooms for 2 to 3 minutes. I might have all rooms discuss each question, or I might differentiate breakout rooms by assigning a different question to each breakout room, and then have a representative from each group share out. That might be a useful strategy to try out for these questions on the introduction to model for the launch of Unit 3. I've also gotten more participation in breakout rooms by asking students who they would like to work with, allowing students to share their screens, or having designated student facilitators in each group. I found these strategies control the pace of the introduction to model nicely and allow for more work time, specifically for more student-centered work time. One way to launch the New Nation unit, the United States Constitution, is to have the students participate in the main activity. Students will engage in analyzing a variety of quotes to discuss and interpret the meaning of each one. Students can work in pairs or groups to interpret and evaluate the quotes, then answer the following questions on slides 18, 19, and 20. You can see the quotes on the slide that follows the independent work directions here. Students will then be asked to discuss the following questions. Which quote do you think is most relevant thinking about American government today? And then which quote is at least relevant or least relevant in thinking about American government today? And then we'll ask students to explain their answer using evidence from the quotes and the discussion that they had in their breakout rooms or with their classmates. Several synchronous and asynchronous strategies can be useful when implementing this lesson. First, if you and your students are meeting synchronously, you can utilize breakout rooms on Zoom or Google Meet to increase collaboration. Depending on the size of your virtual classroom, students can work together in groups of 4 to 5 to read and interpret the quotes. Students can then share their findings during the wrap-up. Additionally, students can work on a shared Google Doc, Padlet, or Jamboard in breakout rooms to facilitate student learning. You can also post a shared Google Doc, Padlet, or Jamboard to your Google Classroom page to have students work on these shared collaborative documents asynchronously as well. To prepare students for the wrap-up, you might ask them to draft their responses in their copy of the slides and then copy and paste their responses to a Jamboard, Padlet, or shared Google Doc. Slides 18, 19, and 20 are great examples of memorializing student responses and then coming back to them throughout the unit. I hope the strategies we went over today were helpful. Give them a try the next time you launch a unit in social studies.